Okay, let's I just feel like I gotta speak up in response to this video.
The Bible clearly says that men should dress like men and women should dress like women. Deuteronomy 22:5 says, quote, "A woman shall not wear a man's garment, nor shall a man put on a woman's cloak. For whoever does these things is an abomination to the Lord your God," end quote. The idea here is not that every piece of men and women's clothing...
Okay, this was God's law specific to Israel. Like, thou shalt not boil a calf in his mother's milk. You can't just cherry pick the laws you're gonna keep and just ignore the laws that are really, what's the word? Really radical. But God, the reason God commanded that, for say a person was not to boil a calf in its mother's milk, was because, from what I've been told when years ago by a Bible student, that the pagans did that, and God wanted his people Israel to so stand out to Him apart from the rest of the heathen world. That's what those laws were for. Yeah, yes, I do believe a man should look like a man and a woman should be like a woman, but let's go. But
clothing should be completely different, completely distinct, otherwise you're cross-dressing. No. In the Bible, both men and women, for instance, wore sandals, and that was not a sin. But if a man put on a dress, or a woman put on a man's battle armor, that was wrong. Why?
A man's battle armor? What if a woman goes out to war? Are you saying she shouldn't put on battle armor because she's going to war?
Because the sexes are different, and God made them that way. And clothing is to a certain extent made to reflect that difference. Now, am I saying that a woman should not wear a t-shirt because men can also wear t-shirts? No. But I am saying that a woman should not wear a tuxedo because we...
If a woman puts on a tuxedo, she's sinning? Yes?
Yeah, off camera.
Okay. Just throw it on the bed.
All the way, hide it.
It is.
It's still there. Now you... Do not let it go.
Okay.
Because we have a clear cultural distinction wherein only men wear that kind of thing. So here's the problem. The woman who is speaking on stage is literally cross-dressing at this Christian...
Really? So you're saying what this woman's doing is bad enough to send her to hell? As the clothes she's wearing. Now, I will admit, she looks like a guy. This woman is ugly. She does not look feminine. I can see the femininity in here, but this woman looks like a dyke. This woman is not. I do not like how. I don't believe women should look like this.
Conference, at the Christian conference where she's supposed to be giving advice on biblical gender roles. She's wearing a collared, button-down shirt and vest, and I'm not trying to be offensive.
Okay, let me say something. I think it's extremely good looking when I see a woman, girl, with a button-up sleeve. You know, one of those dress shirts that you button up the shirt from the top to the bottom, and she's got her sleeve rolled up. I find that incredibly good looking. And you're saying that's a sin? Yeah. But I think there are far worse. Okay, give me a second. Give me a second. I had to refresh my video. Oh, bitch. I think there are far worse sins in society to worry about. Murder, rape, stealing, adultery, covetousness, not believing in God. I think there's so many other sins we need that are much worse than a bunch of cultural taboos. Just as long as a woman... I think the standard is just as long as a woman you can tell she's a woman and a man you can tell she's a man. There are no if a woman wears battle armor, that's nothing wrong. And even and what about all the laws in the Old Testament that King David didn't follow? Like the king is not allowed to marry a bunch of wives. Yet King David and King Solomon did both, and God totally overlooked their sin. Why can't Christian women wear button-up sleeves, shirts with the sleeves rolled up, as long as you can still tell they're women? I'll play this. Therefore, he that shall break the least of these laws shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. I'll take that just as long as I get into the kingdom of heaven. I do not want to live in a world that is a monotonous hell because all the women and men fit a certain stereotype. I like variety is the variety is the spice of life. I like my women to look good. I know the Bible talks about don't make a woman all dressed up to look good with makeup and stuff, but let her be in the inward man. But wouldn't this world be a hell if all of the women and girls were plain Janes? Fuck that shit. 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 Fuck you too. I want my women to be hot and good looking. I'm sorry. I just settle for being the least in the kingdom of heaven. I do not want to live in a world that is a monotonous hell because our girls not look exceptionally good looking. I do not want to see women look like those Puritan women with those plain dresses down to the floor, afraid to show a little skin. Now don't get me wrong, I don't want to see girls dressing like sluts either. But I do want a balance. I do want my girls to be exceedingly good looking. Because they make life worth living. If I had to live in the world where girls do not ravish my heart, I'm not talking about lust. I'm talking about ravishing my heart, making me forget about the monotony of this shithole world. I don't want to live. I want to kill myself.
Here at all, but the fact is, if you laid out that outfit and asked 100 random Christians to tell you what's the sex of the person planning to wear this outfit,
I think if a man is wearing woman's clothes and you can still tell he's trying to be a man, just as long as you can tell he's a man and he's trying to be a man, you're not sinning. If a girl's got men's clothes, but she's trying to be a woman, trying to look like a woman, that's okay. If somebody think what other people think can be damned, as far as I'm concerned. I know that's not biblical. We're supposed to care about what people think, but hey, fuck you. I won't do what you tell me. Fuck you. I won't do what you tell me. I'm an individual. I'm an individualist. I do. That's just what it is. Yeah, I believe in following the Bible and God's law, but hey, if King David didn't follow all the Pentateuch, Deuteronomy 17:17, the Lord commanded that when Israel got a king, he was not to multiply to himself wives and horses. Yet God gave King David, according to the prophet Nathan, all the former King Saul's wives, apparently in violation of his own command in Deuteronomy 17:17. I don't believe you have to keep every letter. It's the spirit of the law that matters. Now, this is gonna make me the least of the kingdom of heaven, but at least I'll get there. If being the greatest in the kingdom of heaven, it means I have to live in this world of a monotonous hell where there is no attractiveness from the females. Let me be the least in the kingdom of heaven. This world is already enough of this world is already enough of a monotonous, unhappy hell. We need something to help us to forget the shit going on in this world for a little while. A good super song to listen to. A good-looking girl to look at, especially if the girl thinks I'm good-looking. A girl that wears shirts that accentuates that she is good-looking. without looking lewd and slutty.
They would all tell you that a man or a boy was going to wear that. So this is a serious problem because we're cross-dressing at a Christian conference. And again, according to Revoice's own website, the organization that's putting on this event, they apparently want to observe the, quote, historic Christian doctrine of marriage and sexuality. But cross-dressing, as we've already covered, is not part of God's doctrine for sexuality. But they're not only doing it, they're not only accepting it, they're actively encouraging it to the audience. They're saying this is a benefit to queer-oriented marriage, that you can dress like the opposite sex and your partner doesn't care. Tell me again, which part of...
Okay. If you're in your bedroom, just you and your wife, and your wife, you would like your woman to dress up like a man, do you get turned on? Just as long as you're not fantasizing about other men or other women, just as long as you're concentrating on her, that's perfectly fine too. What you do in the bedroom between you and your wife, that's between you and her. That's none of society's fucking business. If they want to get freaky in the bedroom together, just as long as they're not lusting after other people, go for it. That's perfectly right.
Part of this is historic Christian doctrine? Tell me again, what on earth does this have to do with biblical Christianity? I would genuinely like to know. Because all I've seen in this video is the secular gender-bending worldview being imported into evangelical Christianity. And that is something I find reprehensible and very wicked. Then towards the end of the video, they say something very revealing. Watch this.
I think it's probably common for anyone in a mixed orientation marriage. Explaining the relationship to people is super complicated. I feel like it's...
Man, I will admit, this girl is horrible. This girl is horrible. She looks like a man. Ugh, makes you want to fucking puke.
hard sometimes to feel like we can really just...
And I don't like seeing men looking all feminized and girlish.
Settle into our relationship because we're always in a posture of like...
Man, I wish I was a good looking guy.
Make sense. And so that has been one of the biggest challenges that we have.
Well, one of the things that bothers me, makes me so angry at God. So angry at God. So angry. First and foremost, I hate homosexuality. I love homosexual people as friends. Yeah, but I detest the queer lifestyle. I wish it was like it was back in the 80s. Men were men and women were women. But here's what was something. Okay, men. The Bible says, if a man cannot contain himself, let him marry. For it is better to marry than to burn. So a straight person, has an alternative to having to always be on fire sexually. Marry a wife, or if you're a woman, marry a husband, and get your rocks off together. All you want. As it says in the Bible, let be ravished with her breasts. And the Song of Solomon, it talk about love between a man and his wife, and actually sexually explicit terms. You know, in Israel, men were not allowed to read the book Song of Solomon until they were 30 years old. Hold on, my camera's dying. I'll get back to my speech. What really bothers me, it makes me angry at God, say people who are homosexuals get saved. There are people who claim God changed them and they're heterosexuals. I believe that, but if Jesus is really real, if God is really saving people, why does not He make it so that every homosexual who gets saved can be transformed into heterosexual? Why do some have to live the rest of their lives in bitterness, longing, denied the unfulfillable desire and agony because they cannot get their sexual satisfaction. There's no recourse in the Bible for the homosexuals. There's no recourse for the homosexual who gets saved to relieve his sexual desires. There's no cure. The only cure would be for God to take them away the sexual desires, and He does not. If He does not do that for every homosexual who gets saved, I have to ask, is He really real? Because if He's 100% God, I expect Him to be the 100% cure for all 100% sins. And if He's not doing that, is He real? So, people who are born gay. Now, Freud said people were born with both homosexual and heterosexual tendencies. I'm thinking that the reason the homosexual thinks he was born gay is because when he was forming in his years, he never developed mature toward heterosexuality. So, that's what I think. But a person who struggles with homosexual desires, how does he deal with that? How does he deal with those desires? How? What kind of a cruel God creates a creation so that homosexuality is possible, like this? And then when He saves people like this, He doesn't take away their homosexual desires. What type of cruel God is this? Because a life without sexuality is almost touching spiritual. A life without climax, sexual satisfaction, is not a life worth living. If I cannot have satisfaction, it's time to blow my fucking brains out. A person who cannot enjoy climaxing because the only way he can climax is to do so in a sinful way. His only recourse is to blow his fucking brains out and go to heaven after he gets saved. Because God's not providing the 100% cure. Oh, you hear these testimonies. Oh, I was a gay person. I got saved. I married a wife. I no longer have homosexual desires. I desire my wife. If Jesus is really real, I believe He's really real, but I'm questioning too. I'm doubting. Jesus, if you're really real, why do you not do the same to every homosexual who gets saved? Or at least provide it. How about the homosexuals who got saved and they prayed and begged and pleaded with God to take away their homosexuality, and God never did it? Fuck you, God. Fuck you, cruel joke. No. Fuck you, cruel tyrant. Fuck you. And I hate homosexuality, but I can understand the frustration of Christian homosexuals when God does not come to them and help them and aid them. There hath no temptation taken you but such as which is in common to man. But God will, with the temptation, provide a way of escape that ye may be able to bear it. This is not. I say until God shows me this is not true concerning the homosexual Christians who get saved. I had rather be tortured to death as a martyr and be tested in God this way by God than be tested by be given 7 sexual desires and unable to fulfill those sexual desires. Because that is a